Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 18th UN Peacekeepers Conference, which is organised as a partnership between the UN Association UK, UNA Westminster and RUSI. It's a real honour to welcome you to the conference, even one as different this year to our last one in 2019. It's our view that as the world becomes more competitive, the need for peacekeeping is likely to increase in order to protect the most vulnerable societies and the most vulnerable people in those societies. This affects all countries. And just as John Donne said of individuals, no man is an island entire of himself, so do not send for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. We might now say in the context of a globally connected world that no country is an island anymore, even one that's surrounded by sea on all sides. At a human level and that of nation states, we have a profound obligation to consider others and to prevent harm, whether that's from climate change or human actors. I think we've got a really exciting program for you today, so thank you for joining us. And I think this is our largest UN Peacekeepers conference because one of the benefits of having to move online means we can expand our audience. But in terms of the agenda, I'm delighted to say that there are no changes to announce in this session. So after a formal welcome from Dr. Karin von Hippel, the Director General of RUSI, the conference will start by considering what nations, and in particular middle powers, offer and indeed might offer to the UN in support of peace operations, including through training. In that panel, we're delighted to have Harriet Matthews from the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office to offer a UK perspective, which is particularly timely in light of the recent UK integrated review. She'll be followed by Ivo Vernick from the Fourth Generation Office in the UN headquarters, for whom I should say this is jolly early. So Ivo, thank you very much for getting up at OSILI 100 hours to be part of this conversation. And then after that, Lieutenant Colonel Tim O'Brien, formerly from the UN Training Centre Ireland, to show how nations can put UN peacekeeping at the heart of their military thinking. Our chair in this event is Bryony Pike from the UNA UK. After that, there'll be a short break, and then we'll return with Dr. Karin von Hippel, who'll be in conversation with Madame Bintou Keita, the Special Representative to the Secretary General to the UN Mission to the Democratic Republic of Congo. As an SRSG serving on such a critical mission, this will be an ideal way to bring us into the period of reflection for those peacekeepers, civilian and military, who have lost their lives in the service of others. And this event, of course, is timed to coincide as closely as possible with the International Day of the UN Peacekeeper. After a short act of reflection led by David Wardrop from the UNA Westminster, we'll break for lunch. I would at this stage, though, like to express my gratitude to all those nations and embassies who supported the creation of the video with images, and to the UK joint unit within the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, who supported the wreath-laying event at the Cenotaph last Friday. After lunch, we'll then turn our attention to the future. A good friend of ours, Giovanna Coele from the Igarapi Institute and a doctoral student at the City University of New York, will chair an exciting final panel looking at how peacekeeping can become more people-centered and engage the whole of society as we move beyond keeping the peace in a way that just keeps warring factions apart towards genuine and lasting peace. Her speakers are the Chief of Office, Castro Wasamba from the UN Office of Genocide Prevention and the Responsibility to Protect. He'll be followed by Abby Watson from Safer World, and then Dr. Comfort Iro from Crisis Group. Closing remarks will be provided by our principal partner, Natalie Samaringe, the Executive Director of UNA UK. Thank you for joining us. In terms of questions, please, if you could type your name and the question into the C+ event chat on the right-hand side of your screen. And I should remind you about attribution. As with all RUSI conferences, we are operating under the RUSI rule. That means prepared remarks are on the record, but Q&A is off the record. So with that, I will hand you over now to Dr. Karin von Hippel, the Director General of RUSI, for a formal welcome. Thank you. Karin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Paul, and welcome everyone to the International Day of UN Peacekeepers Conference. As Paul said, a special focus this year on enhancing the UK contribution to peacekeeping. As Paul also mentioned, we have been hosting this annual event in partnership with the UN Association UK and UNA Westminster since 2004. And we like to think that this event has become the authoritative forum for discussions on peacekeeping in the UK. We're especially delighted to be back this year because, as many of you know, we did have to cancel last year's event because of the COVID crisis. And while we're only doing this virtually this year, we will be trying, at least are planning to host this event and others in a hybrid fashion going forward. So we will have people physically in the room as well as virtually. And we've been experimenting with that this week. This is going to be our new normal, but it's pretty fantastic because these online platforms really allow us to welcome a far more diverse and international audience than ever before, as well as bring in speakers from different parts of the world. And today, as Paul mentioned, that means straight from a peacekeeping mission from DRC with the special representative of the Secretary General, as well as from UN headquarters. So it's a great way to have a more comprehensive event than we might have had before. We have designed this schedule today, the agenda today, to include a wide range of experts to tackle these challenges in a more comprehensive way. So we have scholars, we have policymakers, civil society leaders, government and UN officials, and other practitioners. Today, we are going to focus on two main themes. The first is the ways that member states, including the UK, can ramp up their support for UN peacekeeping. Personally, I'm more optimistic this year than I was last year because the new US administration is fully committed to multilateralism, and we have also heard the UK prioritize multilateralism and peacekeeping, which they recently publicized in the government document, the Integrated Review. And this review defined Britain as a problem-solving and burden-sharing nation with a global perspective. In fact, if you read the Integrated Review throughout, the UK government speaks about working with like-minded allies to shape the international order and recommitted to peacekeeping. So that will be one of the main themes for today. Secondly, we're going to explore how peacekeeping is adopting a more people-centered approach and what that actually means in practice. So looking forward to hearing more. Now, I think while these steps are positive, the recommitment to multilateralism, more people-centered approach, these are all positive steps. I think we are still lacking in detail. And so in a sense, we want to see this event as an opportunity to help inform the public debate going forward, to inform UK government thinking and other governments that may be listening. And this should really try to serve as a practical form prior to the delayed ministerial meeting in Seoul, which had been scheduled for the summer, but has been delayed to December 2021. For that ministerial meeting, the goal is really, the objective is to strengthen UN peacekeeping. And this is in part by improving the performance and impact of UN peacekeeping operations. It's also intended to close capability gaps through concrete pledges, facilitate new partnerships, as well as strengthen existing ones, and promote systemic changes that will improve operations. For a number of us who have been working on peacekeeping issues for longer than we care to admit, it would be fantastic if we can make some concrete progress this year. Finally, so those are the two themes of the event. And then, as Paul mentioned, as we do every year, we will honor the sacrifices made by peacekeepers in the service of humanity, given that the International Day of UN Peacekeeper falls on a Saturday, this Saturday, the 29th. So we were not able to hold it on the day of the event itself. So we have a really interesting, packed day, and I'm looking forward to everyone's input, not only the speakers and the chairs, but also the participants. But before I turn the floor over to our chair, to Brian E. Pike, I want to thank a few people who have really helped make today's event the success that it is going to be. So first, let me thank our partners in the UN Association UK and UN Association Westminster, particularly Brian E. Pike from UNA UK and David Wardrop from UNA Westminster. And of course, he has provided incredible leadership during this event over the years with RUSI. I also want to thank the FCDO, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, and the it's the FCDO MOD Joint Unit, and colleagues there have been incredibly generous for their advice, help, and support. And that also in particular goes to Laura Grant and Major Tom Anstey. Thank you to all of our speakers and chairs. Special thanks to Team RUSI. We've had a very busy week with some hybrid events that were experimental for us. And of course, as I mentioned before, these events really are only successful if the participants engage in a fulsome manner. So please do write in your questions and comments throughout the day. Send us any feedback you would like later on, and we will try to get to as many questions as we can today. Now, before I hand over the floor to Bryony, I wanted to mention we received a very lovely note from Karin Harbottle, who is a widow of Brigadier Michael Harbottle. And Michael wrote The Blue Berets in 1971. Karin had her 100th birthday in February, and we always invite her to this event. She's unable to join us today, but she sends her best wishes for the conference. We wanted to wish her a belated happy birthday today. So now let me hand over the virtual floor to Bryony Pike to chair the first panel. Thank you very much.